The beautiful lady you're looking at is successful and gifted in every way as a business executive, as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother. But she has endured some great challenges in life, starting at the beginning. And somehow, with her faith, she has endured to be where she is today. Nan Nelson, kind enough to share her faith with us on My Faith with Homer and Pip, and our marvelous producer, Brent Young. I'm Tommy Pippins, and Nan, as always, Homer swings away.
This is our first ever husband and wife, My Faith, not together but separate. So Nan, I don't know exactly what that means. I just threw it in there because every one of these starts the same. You choose how you want to tell us the story of My Faith.
Great. Well, thanks for spending some time with me this morning. You know, Tom, you mentioned some challenges that I faced in life. Really, I try not to spend time looking at things like that from that angle. I grew up in Milwaukee. I am the ninth child of a family of 9. We had eight girls. We have 8 girls in the family and 1 boy. And again, grew up on 46th Street between Meineke and Wright. It was a area that was full up of many Catholic families. And quite frankly, our family of 9 was average from a size perspective. We had many neighbors with 12 and 14. So we didn't find it to be anything unusual. Maybe what made it a little unusual was that we lost our mom. I was 2 years old when my mom died of breast cancer, and that left my dad on his own to raise quite a large family. We didn't have a lot of means, but as it relates to my siblings, we had a lot of love. And the one thing that my dad did provide us, despite quite frankly his many personal challenges, was a faith foundation, and he was very committed to that. We went to church every Sunday, every holiday. You know, we were there and together, and he provided us a Catholic education, which to this day I feel is a gift. You know, that he gave us, despite again some of the challenges that we faced. And I've been fortunate to take that somewhat non-traditional beginning, and it's really served as an amazing foundation for me. And I'll be honest, I feel like I'm gaining a stronger and stronger appreciation for that beginning with each passing day. And you know, when you're young, you don't spend much time thinking about it. And as I get older, I could spend a lot of time thinking about the things I didn't have, but I think all the things I didn't have is what's provided me all the things that I have had and I do have today, and I'm grateful and blessed, and I have no complaints.
When did it become not your father's faith foundation, but your faith?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think it was, I had a decision point when I went off to school, when I went away to college. You know, that's the first time you're kind of on your own, and you do have the ability to make decisions. And for whatever reason, I decided that faith was important to me and that I needed to continue to go to church. I met Dennis when I was a freshman. He was a senior, and he shared that faith foundation as well. I know, you know, he's talked with you, and you have learned about his amazing mom, and she was an amazing lady. And it was something that, again, I think I took for granted, that I met a young man that was also a Catholic and was a regular churchgoer. And we did that together. And so I think that was probably the point in my life where I realized how important it was, because I remained committed to faith. And I recognized the importance that it was providing me from a foundational standpoint, and it's continued to this day.
What was your dad's belief? Aside from raising you a certain way, going to school, what did you learn about God, your faith, from him in what he did or what he said?
So my dad did many things that we probably wouldn't want to use as examples in life, but the one thing that he would say was that he had committed to my mom before she passed that all of us would be raised as Catholics, and that was obviously important to him, and he maintained that commitment to her. And so I don't know if it was that I recognized how important it was to her, and through his messaging to me and us, that's what made it so important and so meaningful. Or, again, if it was just, I just think it was kind of it was a known, we never questioned it. We knew it was part of what was expected, what was at the time was required. But it made a difference, I mean, I think it built community and family for all of us in a very different way that was probably even more important because of the fact that we were without a mom. He was not always present. And so I think it gave at least me something more than just going to church. It was a broader extension of family. And that's really what I view it as today as well, is it's really a support structure and extends well beyond the building, if you will, of where we go to church.
It almost sounds easy, and that's a great thing, but you're not here because of just easy, because I know Pip's standard. My faith is always when it's tough. So
Yeah.
Lead us to the challenges.
It does. Yeah, we've endured our challenges. That is for sure. Again, growing up was challenging, and the beautiful thing about that is that I've been able to give, or Dennis and I have been able to give our children a very different, lifestyle growing up, different opportunities. We've given them faith. They're not, I don't know that they're where Dennis and I were at their ages, and I continue to pray that they'll have new appreciation for it as they age. But we gave it to them. And I think it's definitely helped, contribute to who they are as adults now. And I'm proud of that. And they give in different ways, but they give, and they understand right from wrong. They're loving, they're amazing people. I know I'm bragging, but they're legitimately amazing people. And I don't take full credit for that. I believe that, the Lord gifted us with these beautiful, amazing people. And so, we're blessed in that way. And, we went through a very hard time when we lost Dennis's mom. That was definitely a challenge, and I think tested all of us from a faith standpoint in a very different way. I think, I would not be being truthful if I didn't tell you that more than once. I had a hard time reconciling, like, how could that happen? How could that happen to her? And there was a lot of residual aftermath with the family, as everyone tried to cope with that tragic loss in their own way. And, as the mom and as the wife of family members that were grieving, it really required some different support and skill from my perspective to help us get through that individually and collectively. I mean, I knew it was so important that we had to find a way to find our way through that. And each of us did it in our own way. but I also knew it was imperative that we did it together. And it was, we had some rocky road for a period of time, but we were there. I truly feel that we've climbed that mountain and we're at the top. And I sincerely believe that our faith was instrumental in helping us make that happen.
For those who didn't hear his story, his mother was murdered in just a horrible way. It's hard to say you want to rank murders, but this is as terrible as one gets. How every person deals with it differently. You had so many people. How did God touch you to be able to not necessarily accept, but live with it and move on and try to assist others?
Yeah, so Ann Nelson she was an amazing lady, and I just loved her dearly, and I feel like God spoke to me during that time and almost kind of sent her back. At times I felt through me that I could, hear her saying, everyone needs to stop crying, and we need to be thankful for the time we had. And I would try and bring that forward more often than not, that I knew she didn't want us to focus on the ending and the way it ended. She wanted us to focus on the time we had. And I mean, what a gift, right? I had come from a situation where I never had a mom. I didn't know what it meant to have a mom. And then I married this man that had this amazing mom that was what you dreamed of. And, when I grew up, of course, that's what every mom was. And so I had this great opportunity to experience it differently, but I was given that gift. Dennis was given that gift. Our children were given the gift of Grandma Ann. I didn't have grandparents either. They were all gone by the time I was born. And I continue to this day to remind the kids and Dennis, when we find ourselves in tough spots, let's focus on what we had and the number of years we had and where she is, because we know she's in a great spot. I mean, she is enjoying the reward of her faith. There is no doubt in my mind that she was lifted from this earth in the embrace of the Lord, and she didn't look back. I know that. And so, it's about what we had. We can't focus on the tragedy. We have to focus on the gift. And, I think that's what the Lord wants us to remember too. It's about what you're given. It's not about what you're not given. And I just feel like we have to stay there, and when we lose and when we go awry, we have to figure out, what did we learn? What did we learn from that? Because there's good that comes from all of it. And there's a lot of good that's come from a lot of the hardship and tragedy. A lot. I mean, we have so much to be thankful for. We have so much to be thankful for. And I think, in a funny way, it's those tragedies and hardships that brought us here. And the faith, the fact that we were given just an incredible foundation that has just given us so many gifts from my perspective. No complaints.
I think it would be easy to say that. You've lived it and you say it. There's no way I can relate to what you lived with, but you've lived it and you say it the way everybody dreams of saying it.
Yeah. Again, it's so, I feel like, personally and professionally, I just feel like I've been blessed with oftentimes looking at things and trying to figure out, okay, what, again, what can we do better? What can we do different? How can we give back? Those are just, I believe those thoughts and characteristics come from the teachings of the church, right? It's, do unto others. It's remember that all good things come from God. And, it's those sort of things that, and I think that those teachings when you're young, and that you can learn to understand, I think it's what really helps you find success and in all facets of life. And it's not measured by money or goods or, it's measured by beautiful children. We've got 3 beautiful grandchildren. I mean, what an amazing, I don't get me started on that because I can't stop, just again, so many gifts and so much opportunity to look at good despite all the other stuff going on.
Now, this is a point of curiosity, then we'll get to Tommy. And that is, you mentioned how you felt that God talked to you. And I listened to that and I go, you are 100% sure of it. God has talked to me a couple times and I feel exactly the same way. Yet if someone said to me, come on, I go, well, either I'm crazy or it is exactly how I feel it. And that's what I sensed listening to you. You're 1000% certain of that.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt. There is no doubt that that he
and
was
why
speaking.
is there no doubt?
Because again, I think I go back and evaluate all the different paths that I could have taken and all the different ways things could have turned out. And I just feel, there are so many examples of where, God spoke, I listened, thank goodness. And there are times I think God has spoken to me and I've not listened. But there are definitely times and critical times in life where I think, thank God. And truly, because he spoke to me, he spoke through me. And I listened and I feel like it helped assure that we stayed on the right path. Because we've had lots of opportunity to stray, many opportunities to stray, and we haven't. And we may have, waffled a bit, but we've found our way back. And it's through him, no doubt. You just know, right?
Tommy, it's all yours now.
Well, we could be in trouble. I always follow Homer's lead, Nan. Couple things. First of all, that picture behind you, I know the Holy Spirit's with us because, it's just, I'm looking at him right behind you and it's like a bright light on that picture. It's absolutely awesome. Your husband's story, again, sportscasters, old sportscasters, young ones like Homer, maybe we're prone to overstatement, but your husband's story as it relates to his faith and forgiveness is one of the greats of all time. But I only bring that up because you're here on your own faith, not Dennis, with all due respect. We love the man. And you were instrumental in his forgiveness. I know that God used you, and it warms my heart that you had such a beautiful mother-in-law after growing up without a mom. I think you're too kind and what have you. We all have our shortcomings. We don't need to go into dad's shortcomings, but I just wonder, did you have to learn to forgive with God's grace at an early time in life in your own spiritual journey?
That's I haven't thought about it that way, but I'm going to say yes. I think that's true. My dad's challenge was with alcohol. I think that was pretty common at that time as well. Remarried, made some bad decisions. It was, a very unhealthy relationship. And I ended up leaving to live with my sister at a young age, freshman in high school, very vulnerable time. And yeah, it was, that was a tough journey for me because, again, I was such a non-traditional childhood to begin with. And when I moved out and moved in with my sister, who, thank goodness she and her husband were willing to take in a young sibling at that point in time and come into, to their worlds and their lives. She made the decision to move me from a schooling standpoint. I had been going to an all-girls school down on the east side to St. Joe Antietam Catholic. Again, my dad was fulfilling his commitment to my mom. But my sister's aspirations for me were a bit more than I think what she thought I would get at St. Joe Antietam. And so she moved me to Pius High School out in Tosa. And safe to say the kids at Pius had, many of them, grown up in a very different situation than I was in. So when I first went to Pius, I remember coming back home first week of school and, saying to her, I don't belong here. I have nothing in common, with any of these kids that are, they've got mom and dad and siblings and everything's good and everything's healthy. And, I'm not, it's not who I am. And she kind of, you're fine. Head down, get back to school. This is going to work out. And she really, she really did a lot for me to get me to kind of accept what I was bringing, which was different than what the other kids in school were bringing. And I think through that process and that experience, I also had to learn to, to forgive of some of the decisions that were made and the actions that were taken that had impacted me personally, that, I had to find a way to keep that where it belonged. And I guess that is a form of forgiveness, right? That you have to come to terms with all that you've been given and find a place for it and find a way to make it build you into a better somebody. And so I feel like I did that, I've done that. And again, I feel like faith was a big piece of that. And faith provided me consistency. That was one element of my life as a child that brought me consistency. Church every day, or every weekend, every Sunday, and, Catholic education. And that was consistent. I had that, through high school. And so I have not thought about it that, have I forgiven? But I believe, I'm certain I have. I've forgiven and I've accepted. And I think that's part of forgiveness as well.
Tommy, I have to tell you, because this
That's
is
the
what I love my faith.
Homer,
She-
Homer's got to come in here.
No, she's the most positive person ever. Let me tell you my life. All right. My mom dies at this age. I got to leave my house at this age. God, what is going on here? I've been going to church. I go to Catholic school, and you do these things to me. And your answer is, I can take care of it. We're okay. What? How? Explain. These are horrific events to some people in their lives they have never recovered from, or are so tough that they are a core of what they are. We would have never guessed.
Right. And so I don't share my story often. It's just it's not generally who I am. Again, I don't spend a lot of time there. And when I do, I get that response like, what? You're kidding? And I don't know why, because I do, and I've met people who have had some similar beginnings, they come from a home of alcohol and, or they've lost a parent or, or they've come from a divorced home and it's been challenging. And not all have fared, right? I mean, that's a tough beginning. And I remember when I was young, there was a family that lived on the block just north of us. And, they had the most beautiful home on the block, and mom and dad, and I was good friends with one of their children. They had a large family too. I think they had 8. And the mom used to, when I would come to the house, because I would walk to school with this friend of mine. And when I would come there, sometimes I didn't have a coat on and it was cold it was, to me, it was just like I was going to school. And she would often say to me, well, it's, you don't have a mom. So, like that was kind of like, well, you don't have a mom. So it's okay that you don't have a coat on. And I used to be troubled by that. I used to think like, well, that's not very nice of you to say. I now have a different perspective. Of course, that's probably why I didn't have a coat on, because nobody was there to say, put your coat on. But when I think back to those moments, I think, like my kids always had a coat on, right? So maybe they wouldn't have had I not had that mom saying to me like, oh, you don't have a mom, so you don't have a coat on. I don't know. I don't know why and how it's happened, but I really think it's it happened for a reason, and maybe it's the things I didn't have that again have made me and have given me the things that I do have now.
And your faith stayed so strong.
Yeah, so steady through it. Right. Again, I think maybe that, it's the consistency, and it's I know it's there. And it's the one thing that I know is never leaving me. It will never leave me. We've had a lot of loss, and, but we have never lost our faith. That is never leaving us. And I say that to my kids now. And again, that's the one thing I feel like I wish they were in a little different spot from a faith standpoint. They're spiritual. And so I know that, and that's how, I know that. But I say to them all the time, no matter what decisions you make, you need to know that faith and God are part of your foundation. It is who you are. It's who your dad and I are. And it's so, so, so important. It's just, and I know they get that.
But Mom, I'm not like you. This is hard. I'm not so positive. That God you tell me about has had some terrible things occur in my life that I don't like. Yeah. I gotta believe you've heard that at least once.
Yes, we've heard it. We've heard it. And they will oftentimes say like they have a hard time believing, where Dennis and I came from, right? Like as our upbringing, and like, they have a hard time believing that too, like they can't believe it. And I remind them, like, consider yourself blessed and be thankful. Thank God that you don't have to know that. You haven't had to know that. You've known something very different, and you need to be thankful for that. And you need to know where that came from. That came from God. You've been blessed. Don't take that for granted. Don't take it for granted. But rely on it. You have to rely on it. So I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I just know I'm grateful. We've just got so much we just have so much we need to remember we've been blessed with. All of us. There's just, I don't know. And you pray you give it back, right? The way that you need to. That's what I worry about. Are we giving back the way we need to and how we should?
All right, Tommy, I'm now officially done.
Homer is so good and makes us smile, doesn't he, Nan? And it
Yeah.
is your smile. But Homer always gives a nickname. I don't know if it's going to be about your smile, but boy, you could Jesus in that smile. I just love it. Brent's dog Carl may be laughing over there. He's so good. But I think I'm not going to embarrass you. We know a little bit more about what you do, and to me, it's ministerial and how you've lived your faith. So I'm not going to go there because you're too humble. Okay, I'll give you that. But I do ask respectfully that you speak to some people who are saying this woman has been through some, as Homer said, amazing challenges in life, but that they can't buy this. They can't buy this faith. They can't buy this peace that you can tell is evident in your heart and in your soul. Could you offer some hope for them? That's good for Nan Nelson. I'm sorry, I just can't be that.
Yeah. I think again, you have to trust, right? You have to trust in the Lord. You have to trust in the journey and continue to look for fulfilling the purpose. I'm a huge believer that we all are here for a purpose, and none of us know what that is. I think we will. We know when all is said and done, I think the Lord will bless us with telling us what our purpose was. And I also believe that everyone who's taken from us has fulfilled their purpose, right? And so I just feel like it's staying focused on, realizing that you're here for a purpose, and keep doing everything that you can to attempt to fulfill that. Again, we don't know what it is. It'd be so much easier if he just told us, when we were born, like, this is your purpose. And we don't know it, but we all have a purpose. There's a reason we're here, and we have to recognize that. We have to work hard to fulfill, and also recognize that it's not going to be easy. Nobody said this journey would be easy, and it's not. People will, through my profession, I'm in finance, and so I often hear, well, it's not fair. It's not fair, because there's always way more demand for the dollar than there's dollar available, and I that's the one thing my dad used to tell us with a team of 9. Life's not fair, and that it's so true. Life is not fair, and we have to accept that, right? There's nothing in life that's fair. So figure it out, and let's stay focused and try and figure out what we've got to get done and what we're here for, knowing it's not fair. That we have to take that as a given too. That is a given. We're not all blessed with the same gifts. We're not all here for the same purpose, but that's what makes the journey all that much more powerful and impactful.
I'm going to ask just one more, but I would also ask Nan if there's anything we haven't asked, if there's anything that you might want to share with anybody out there, because you've been so kind to share your story, which I think many more should hear, that you want someone to know as it relates to faith.
I think, again, we have to recognize that faith comes in so many shapes and forms, and presents in different forums, and in different ways. And, I think just kind of given the world today that we live in, and we see so much by way of violence and addiction and abuse and poverty, and there is so much out there right now in the world that I so truly believe that we all have to dig deep and figure out how to demonstrate our faith, how to make the best use of the teachings that we know, and do everything that we can to try and and see through, if you will, and create light where there's darkness. So it's so important. And again, I think it gives us all something to stay anchored to, that's positive, that provides us guidance on how to get there. And I just think it's an important time for all of us to evaluate faith and to think broadly about it, so that we can work to create change and to find better, and to find light for those that that are going to come after us. I feel passionately about that. I know my dad used to always say he worried, at the time he worried about the world that we were going to grow up in. And I feel that way for our kids and for our grandkids. And so I think it's faith that's going to help us fix some of it and, alter some of it. So I just so believe and so wish that there were more opportunities and different opportunities for people to look to faith and recognize that as part of the solution.
Tough to top that. Thank you for sharing it, Nan. Homer, anything from you, buddy?
Oh yeah, Tommy, I got a nickname. Nan, the glass is always full, Nelson. They just see whether it's half full or half empty. Not here. That glass is always full.
Full. It's got to be, right? Yeah, it's got to be. I have my moments, but I try and get right back, as we all do.
You may see what Homer just uttered on a T-shirt someday. Right. Yeah, it's all Homer. It's been an absolute joy to have you with. Thank you for impacting people. I think your story, if I may, is one of faith, hope, and love, and you're living it, and you're impacting others. And I trust by God's grace that people were touched today, and that's the whole issue. That's why it was on Homer's heart, I believe, from the Holy Spirit, to get My Faith with Homer and Pip going. So again, thank you, and we look forward to the gift of meeting you in person sometime.
Likewise, that would be great. Thanks for your time, and thanks for what you're doing. It's important work.
Thank you. Nan Nelson, ladies. This has been My Faith with Homer and Pip, and it doesn't happen without the humble man in the background, Brent Young, and his awesome dog, Carl. Take care, everybody, and let's keep our hope, and let's keep living for the glory of God. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you next time on My Faith with Homer and Pip.